I'm thrilled to be here with Savvy Ladies, an amazing organization. And today we're going to talk about what digital branding is on social media. How many of you probably already have personal social media platforms? And how many of you may or may not have business platforms? And the two can be intertwined depending on the type of business you do. We all do social media on our own. We can post photos. We can post family photos on Facebook. I mean, my dad is key in posting pictures of me with no makeup on the holidays. And we can connect with colleagues on LinkedIn. We can follow Emmy Awards or the Tony Awards on Twitter or our president. But do we really know why we're doing it? Do we know who we're actually targeting? And are we targeting the people that mean something to our businesses? And how do we create those online relationships that actually lead to real relationships offline? And it's interesting because last night we hosted a What Women Want event, and we did some social media live. And by doing that last night, we were able to cement the brand a little bit more with the women in the room and the guest speakers. And now folks are following up today online that met in person. So it goes hand in hand and back and forth, the online and the offline. So we'll start with what is digital branding on social media. And this is just a little bit about my background, which Maggie so eloquently just told you about. So social media in general is a pretty big deal in the world, and it's not going away. Every day we talk about things coming and things going. For example, yesterday, Google Plus decided it was going to shut down. And a couple of days ago, we had some issues with Facebook and hacking. However, that still does not mean that these are going away. These platforms are staying, and we would be savvy to learn how to use them and to maximize using them so that we can make a lot of connections and create relationships. If you look at the slide that's up right now, there are over 4 billion internet users around the world, and there are over 3 billion social media users. That's a pretty high number, 3 billion social media users. And every single day that number goes up. In fact, in many places in the developing world, in a lot of countries in Africa, for example, social media is where people get information more than a television set or any other device, even their computer. It's mobile social media. So it connects us to the world and the greater world. So more than 3 billion active accounts. 56% of Americans actually have a profile on a social networking site, and 93% of marketers use social media. So how can we make ourselves actually stand out? How can we get recognized, followed, liked, shared, all those buzzwords, engaged? Engagement to me is one of the most important that we can actually talk about, because you can put things out there, but unless you're also speaking with people and engaging them and answering their comments like we have in the chat room here, or writing back to their comments on Instagram or Facebook, if you don't actually engage them, you're not elevating your brand and you're not being seen on a regular basis by them. You're only creating a one-way street rather than a two-way street. So the first thing to do if you want to get yourself seen and be a digital brand is figure out who your target audience or community is and where do they actually hang out online. An example of this would be if you're a woman-owned business and you're a business coach geared towards women in finance. You want to go and find these women online. And where would someone in finance be? They'd probably be on LinkedIn. They may be on Facebook. They may be on Twitter. They may be on Instagram. But LinkedIn would probably be a #1 spot to go and find them. If you're someone selling dog products, you would probably want to post things that looked interesting and had dog pictures in them. So you may want to be on something visual like an Instagram or a Pinterest, and maybe even Facebook, and maybe less so on LinkedIn unless you're selling B2B. So what content are you actually going to share with this target audience? And does your content actually add value to your community? How often are you online engaging your community? We talked about engaging earlier. And do you analyze what is and isn't working? And do you shift that as you go along? So we're going to go over a little bit about how you create connections online. We're going to go over a few of the different platforms that are out there and talk about how to turn those connections online into some relationships offline for your brand. So let's start with Facebook. So there are 2.23 billion monthly users on Facebook. It continues to dominate as the #1 social platform. It is not going away. It is in and of itself a search engine. So when you're on Facebook and when your audience is on Facebook, you can actually search for news. You can search for different topics. You can search for a dog product. You could search for women in finance. And those topics would come up on a regular basis, and you could figure out who's posting what online. Some key things to do when you're in Facebook are look at a keyword or hashtag that relate to you and your business. Let's say, I'll give an example of a business coach. Let's say you're a women's business coach. What are the keywords and hashtags within your community? It may be women entrepreneur or business or coaching. Things like that could be used within your content and within your summaries online. And you can incorporate them in your comments and in all of your messaging out to your audience. If you're on Facebook and you want to be seen on a regular basis, you'll engage with targeted groups and pages on Facebook. So for example, What Women Want Networking, we hosted an event last night. We have a business page on Facebook where we posted the event. We also have groups on Facebook for an upcoming conference. So this example I'm going to give you is for if someone is in the dog industry. Long Island Dog Parents is a great place to go and to post information about things that you're doing that relate to the dog industry. And maybe it's a new product you have and you want to be seen, you want your brand to be elevated and be seen as an influencer online. Well, the more information you share, not selling, but the more information you share, the better off you'll be seen. Events, I just mentioned that we hosted an event last night for What Women Want New York City. So we created that event on Facebook so that we could be seen on Facebook and then individuals could invite other people to come. We ended up getting 30 women to come to the event, and half of them had never been to a What Women Want event before. And they are seeing it on Facebook because they're being invited, or it was done as an ad to them. So we're being seen as a women's business influencer, bringing women together by hosting an event and sharing it online that they could also share to their community so that they could be seen as an influencer. If you create an event on Facebook, you can also link it. Let's say if this were for the webinar, you could put the actual link to sign up for the webinar right within the event on Facebook. And again, you would be seen by a larger audience. Here's just an example of filtering to look for events. Let's say, for example, again, in the dog industry, we wanted to look for some dog-related events that are happening locally. You can just put in a search for dog events to be able to see what events came up that relate to your topic. For Savvy Ladies webinar, you could put in a money webinar. You could put in Wednesday Wisdom webinar. You could put in Women Entrepreneurs webinar. Things like that, and you can see what comes up related to that topic. And if you add those keywords within your own event that you're posting or within your own content, you'll be seen as well. So let's look at Twitter for a little bit. There are 336 active monthly users on Twitter. It is one of the fastest growing demographics. What Twitter is really nice and useful for is getting out there in front of media. So if you're a brand that wants to be seen as an influencer online, you can actively pursue some media opportunities, media like non-traditional, some bloggers and things in your industry or under your community. Your tweets are also searchable on Google. If you've ever done a search on Google, you'll see that a lot of what we put on Facebook is not searchable. You may get a popped up Facebook page on Google, but definitely not the actual content that's on Facebook. But Twitter is searchable directly on Google. So that gives you good cross-pollination to become more searchable, and more searchable becomes more visible. You can tweet someone directly, and the chance of them responding, Twitter is that interactive platform, they could respond and engage. This was really useful for me when we were doing some work for a client and wanted to get out in front of some bloggers. We directly tweeted things that those bloggers were tweeting and shared it to our audience. And then we also tweeted the bloggers directly and direct messaged them as well. This also helps during a crisis. It could be a PR crisis, or it could be a real crisis that's happening in a city. And I'm going to give you one example of this was Mayor Cory Booker. Now, he's become quite an influencer as a senator right now, whether, you know, politically, either side of the spectrum, we're not talking politics, but we're talking about him in general as an influencer when he was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. He was able to get folks immediate attention and help during Hurricane Sandy. This elevated his status because there was a lot of issue with people getting help during the hurricane. And by using Twitter effectively, he was able to correspond with people. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. These are actual tweets that he had been using during the hurricane and during some other instances during his tenure as the mayor, to actually get out in front of the folks that were his constituents and literally help them. And in one instance, he actually did go and meet with someone directly through a Twitter engagement. So here's just a few examples. He offered to actually interact and bring blankets to someone who had no power. He actually was able to help this other person with baby supplies. And he actually was able to help during when police were coming to an accident, in an accident situation. So these were really, it was a really useful way because a lot of folks couldn't use the phones, the phone lines were down, but they actually could get online on Twitter and correspond with him. He got absentee ballots out there. I'll just go through these pretty quickly. Dog was rescued. And now LinkedIn, moving on to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn for influencers in the B2B is really key. And there are actually non-B2B groups on LinkedIn as well. If you wanted to get on LinkedIn for like a soccer tournament or something like that, there are lots of things. Facebook is always great for folks that are involved with families, soccer tournament groups, Girl Scout groups or troops. PTA groups on there. So and there's tons of moms and dad groups. So if you're going after families, moms and dads, Facebook is a great way to go. LinkedIn groups are expanding, and you can have a group for just about anything. It can be a group from your college alma mater. It can be a group for savvy ladies. It can be a group for business people that are going to a specific conference like the Grace Hopper Convention for Women in Technology. There also are pages on LinkedIn you can use as well, and I'll go over the difference between them. So LinkedIn, when was the last time you actually checked your messages? LinkedIn is used as an emailing platform. People use the email function in LinkedIn, the message function, and it can come to you as an email, or you can just respond and check right within LinkedIn. I'm noticing now, and many of you probably have this as a complaint on a regular basis, that you're getting corresponded via text, via email blast, via LinkedIn message, and Facebook Messenger as well. And then you've got the DMs through, or direct messages through Twitter, through Instagram, through Facebook as well. These are all just ways to communicate with your audience and be communicated with from someone else's audience. So we all want to be connected, and we don't want to discount that other people want to be connected to us as well. So be conscientious of that and use a bit of business etiquette when corresponding with people back and forth. And always remember that what you want may be what someone else wants as well. So leave the door open and don't always shut the door after. So LinkedIn messages. Every second, 2 new members join LinkedIn. So for business purposes, it's a very useful platform, and it's great to use it as your Rolodex. Add in folks that you've just met at an event. If you collect business cards, put them in your regular database and then add them on into LinkedIn and offer to connect with them. There are 500 million plus users and growing every day. And it's the 16th most visited website in the world, active in over 200 countries. A lot of folks today are digitally connected, and they don't necessarily work in one place. So they may travel and present in other countries and other continents. And using LinkedIn, they can connect throughout the world and grow their business and their brand in that way. This never used to be able to happen before, but by establishing your presence on LinkedIn, you're establishing your community and you're establishing your presence in front of a community. I've actually been doing business with folks in Houston, Texas for 3 or 4 years. And prior to about a year ago, I had never met them before. Everything we did was online, and a lot of what we corresponded online through was LinkedIn, not always even an email. So 2 important things to be seen and seen as a digital influencer or a digital brand on LinkedIn is, first and foremost, and this goes for every digital platform, is make sure you have a clear, crisp, recent photo of yourself as your profile picture. I highly recommend using yourself if you're a business, or if you're working in a corporation, definitely use yourself. I don't always like when someone only uses their logo, because people want to connect with people. And even if you want your business to be the influencer and be seen, they still want to see a face behind it. Highly recommend first turning off all of your broadcasting on your profile so that you're not notifying every single time you make a change, you're not notifying your audience. Second thing to do is your summary. And your summary is not a resume. It is an overview of who you are and what you're looking for. Who you are, including skills, which include those keywords, and what you do and what your experience is, but in a very short, sweet summary of under 2,000 characters. I also actually recommend on LinkedIn that you add in your contact details, your name, your email, maybe your website, and your phone number if you're okay with that. I have mine in my LinkedIn summary to make it very easy for anybody who finds me to connect with me. Again, keywords to your industry. For me, in my industry, keywords would be female entrepreneur, business leader, thought leader, digital connector, digital marketing, social media marketing. Things like that would be keywords that someone may be looking for and will find me using those. Use those keywords to be more searchable, because LinkedIn does have a built-in search engine and you will rank higher. You can also use those keywords to find others that you're looking to connect to. I'm going to go back to the pet industry. Let's say you're someone selling pet products and you want to find folks that are in the pet industry already. You can use those keywords: pet industry, pet food, pet services, pet beds, whatever it is that you're selling. And you can actually find people. You can also use job titles. Maybe they are a pet animal handler or pet handler, and you want to find them, or veterinarian. And you want to find those people and engage with them on LinkedIn. 3 things to do on LinkedIn: to share content, create brand awareness, and position yourself as an expert. And all 3 of these go hand in hand. Sharing content helps create the brand awareness, which helps position you as the expert in the field. So join a few key groups, or create a group or a page on your own. We have a page for my Business Network International. We have a page for my What Women Want. We can create a group. And the difference between a page and a group is the page allows you to post content only. A group allows anybody in the group to post content. So it's a more open format. You can limit that. You can make it certain rules, and you can choose when things are posted, and you can delete things if needed. But it gives you way more interaction. So if you were a business coach, it may be interesting for you to monitor and engage in a group on LinkedIn and allow people to ask questions and post things about themselves. If you are a business that sells B2B, you may just want a page on LinkedIn where you're just sharing information about yourself or your organization. And then folks can use the comment section to talk with you. So post content, there's two ways to post content on LinkedIn as yourself, as your profile person. You can post a status update, which is a shorter amount, and that goes just right in your feed and anyone else's feed. Or you can post an article, which is also like a blog, which can be more in-depth. It can have media within it. It can have video. It can have photos and links. And it shows up right on your profile page as it would a blog. So if you have a blog on a regular basis and you're using it to grow yourself as a brand and an influencer, you could actually use the whole thing or part of it. If you used part of it, you could put it in as an article and put a click through that they go back. If you want to drive traffic back to your website, you can have them read the rest of it back on your website. So now, how will you use social media to build your own community? I'm going to give you some steps for the next 30 days, and I'll leave this up if anyone wants to take a screenshot of it. I'm sure that we can provide this to you, but here are just 7 ways to build yourself and small things that you can do within the next 30 days. So create a specific social media strategy for creating relationships with a specific target market. So know who you want to reach and where they're going to be. So a business coach, a female business coach that's looking to connect with women business owners in the New York area would look on LinkedIn and Facebook, I would say first. So that could be a start to your particular strategy. And maybe choose a group or 2 groups to get involved in and engage in on a regular basis for the next 30 days to share content that you think would be of benefit to those people. Maybe it's content on how to start an LLC for your business, or what upcoming events you're attending that they may be interested in attending and meeting you at. Second is to download the mobile app for each profile. All of us are very transient and mobile these days. We're running around from meeting to meeting, or from soccer to Girl Scouts, depending on what your life is like. It's nice to be able to have these particular social media platforms right in your phone so that you can immediately post something that you find interesting or that is about what you're doing and about your brand. Third is complete your profiles and your about sections or your summaries on each platform, including your contact info. And this goes for Facebook as well. Even if you just have a personal profile on Facebook where you're friends with folks, it's nice to have that whole thing maximized. Put in all of your information about where you went to school. You may not want to go back to high school, but college and then some. Maybe some awards or certificates or training you've had since then. And make sure that your picture is visible. I mean, we can, of course, use fun photos. Does it speak to your brand and who you are? And add in contact info of how people can get in touch with you. They're not always going to pick up the phone and call you, but they may text you. You may not want that. You may want to give them your LinkedIn profile to get in touch with you in that way instead. Just depends on how comfortable you are. Number 4 is research, find, and develop your network of targeted first-degree connections. So who do you really want to reach? Get a first-level list. Make it a simple list. It could be 25 to 30 people that you really want to reach, and go and find them or research them. You can use LinkedIn. Let's say if I am a business coach and I want to search for female entrepreneurs in New York City that are let's say that they want to join a group about learning how to start an LLC. So you could actually put words in LinkedIn to see if anyone has any specific name or keyword within their profile and they would come up as searchable. Maybe you want to even see people who used to work in corporate America at a certain company that are leaving to start their own business. You never know who's doing what and when. And everyone is also working on side gigs all the time, whether it be volunteer side gigs or professional side gigs. So think about what they're doing that you may want to search for. Number 5, engage your targeted connections regularly. I'm not saying go on every single day and 24/7 be on your phone, because you won't be actually having meaningful conversations and relationships if we're doing that. But definitely make a plan for yourself on a regular basis. I check my messages on LinkedIn in the morning and then in the afternoon or evening. And I just go through them and see if there's anything new that's come in and if there's anything that I need to address quickly. I also use it to share events that I'm doing, like last night, or I use it to reconnect with someone maybe I haven't seen, or someone brand new that I just met. So make that a priority of when you're going to do that and how. And answering comments and questions that people post on your platforms also helps you be seen on a more regular basis, and also shows them authentically that you're caring about what you're doing online. Take that to the next level by scheduling short one-on-ones or one-to-ones to get to know the people. You can make it a call, you can make it a meeting, you can invite them to an event to get to know them, but schedule time to get to know those targeted folks. And it could be 10 targeted folks, it could be 25 or 30. But get to know those targeted folks and know why you're reaching out to them, and let them know. And if someone else has made the connection for you, schedule those, link with them, and get to know them, because we don't want to let go those connections that have been made for us. And the final item, number 7, is build relationships by inviting your targeted connections to events. So number 5, 6, and 7 are actually all interrelated. You're engaging your target connections regularly online, answering comments. You're scheduling time to talk to them on and offline, and you're building relationships by inviting them to events with you. Like last night's What Women Want event, I invited some women who I was going to have coffee with, and I said, why don't you come to the event? We'll be able to talk during the event, and then we can arrange our coffee, and at least you're getting to meet a few other people as well. So a content calendar for these purposes is great to use. It allows you to help plan not only how you're going to connect to people, but then you can also plan monthly themes, holidays, local events that you're going to and promoting, and relevant local business. So monthly themes could be like, for example, this month, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Women's Health Month. Next month is going to be Thanksgiving. It can be Thankful Month, holiday coming up as well. And every single day of the week is a key day. National Tequila Day, National Dog Day, National Take Your Girls to Work Day. So you can use that to plan content that could be relevant to your target market and your target audience. And then you can share that and be seen on a regular basis as an influencer and raise your digital standards. And here's how you can get in touch with me. On LinkedIn, it's Joan Pelzer. Feel free to connect. On Twitter, it's Joan Pelzer NYC, as well as Instagram. And on Facebook, I'm Joan Pelzer as my personal, and Joan Pelzer Media as my business page. And let me know what you'd like to see in the future. And now it's time if you have any questions.
Thanks, Joan. So we'll open it up for Q&A. If you have a question now, you can use the chat box, or you can email info@savvyladies.org. And a question that we have for you is, do you have some suggestions for how to get followers engaged? When I've posted questions on Facebook and Twitter in the past, I didn't get much of a response. And I'm afraid that trying again will make me look a little silly or not very credible.
Excellent. That is an excellent question, because I'm all about engagement. So I actually don't think it'll ever make you look silly or not credible. Folks are all in their own heads. Not everybody is going to answer you right away, and not everyone's going to see it in their newsfeed, especially on Facebook. As we know, it's harder and harder to be seen. So what I would highly recommend is if you're looking to engage your audience with a question, post some content around that topic and engage within that content first. And then you can post the questions completely separately as well. Maybe create a cute graphic that has the question in it, in and of itself. Like if you're posting something about branding, let's say, what is your favorite brand and why? And you make a funny or cute graphic that surrounds that question and then start the engagement. And why don't you also ask a few folks that you know offline that may be interested in that topic to actually go online and answer or question there. This way you've got a discussion going that'll build upon itself.
Okay, great, thank you.
And one other thing with regard to engagement, I have a client that's I'm only doing Instagram for her, and we're posting content that the visual is beautiful and the written is more along her brand lines, telling a little bit about her with some hashtags. But how we've gotten engagement is by going and liking and commenting on what other folks are posting. And then all of a sudden they're seeing our name pop up and they're coming back and liking and following us. And we've actually gotten almost 200. She was under 500. She was at about 350 followers. And we've gotten almost 200 new followers in 1 week.
That's great. Wow. All right, moving on to the next question is, what are your thoughts on paid posts on social media?
So there is no doubt that you, in some instances, have to do paid advertising on all platforms. You don't always get seen. It's just the algorithms right now of each platform that really do prevent you from being seen in an organic manner unless you already have a very large audience. So, but that does not mean you have to spend a fortune on it. I have 2 suggestions for how to do this in a very easy, simple way. If you are doing a live video or an Instagram story live, Facebook and Instagram, you are actually seen quicker and easier than if you just post ordinary content. You can then take that live and boost it and get a little bit further of an audience. The second thing is when you do an event or a webinar and you post it as an event, let's say on Facebook, you can actually do a little ad around that, boost it or do a little ad around it to get that seen in front of more people. I think you don't have to spend a fortune on it. It really depends on what budget you do have and who you want to reach. If you have a very specific target, doing advertising for a little bit of money will help you reach that target much quicker than organic content may.
Okay, thank you. Another question we have for you is asking, I'm a financial professional. I don't believe that my ideal clients are searching social media for my services, but instead are using social media for entertainment. What do you suggest I do to attract people? So maybe, Joan, can you talk a little bit about kind of when you're not that ideal search there?
Absolutely. And as a financial professional, you're actually very limited in what you're allowed to post online. It depends on if you're working for yourself or another company. But if you are working for a company, you may get your hands slapped for posting too many different things. Most of them won't allow you to have a page on Facebook. So what you post on your personal profile as a financial professional cannot sound like you're giving advice. You would need to put a disclaimer that this is not advice, that this is only your opinion. LinkedIn, you may also be extremely limited. That being said, that doesn't mean you can't find people online and share content. A lot of financial firms have approved content that you can post online. And, you know, for good reason that you really want to be conscientious of that. You do not want to be seen as giving anybody advice that's not actually working with you directly. So how I see you can find your target audience and who they are is first of all, knowing exactly who you're trying to target and finding out where they are online. If they're there for entertainment purposes, then you want to engage in that type of entertainment that they're looking at. So maybe they're looking at, a talk show online and commenting and looking at what is being posted by that talk show. Let's say it's the Ellen show, and they watch it on a regular basis and they're looking at it, or a movie that they are following, or a Broadway show that they're following. And you may want to go and be seen in front of that audience and start engaging people and asking questions of them that could be trigger questions to get them to give you a little bit more information. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, yes, I'm sure it does. I'll let you know if there's a follow-up. And now the last question we have for you is asking about paid events, and I'm also going to do a bit of a plug for the Savvy Ladies Gala, which we have coming up. Can you just give some tips on sharing events, maybe if you recommend LinkedIn, Facebook, kind of other ways to get events more visible to people?
All of the above, absolutely, without a doubt. So we'll use the Savvy Ladies Gala as the perfect example. It should be created as an event on Facebook with the direct ticket link right in there and all of the details, including a beautiful image up at the top. And then you can invite people. You can ask yourself and your colleagues and anyone else involved in the organization to invite their own people personally. You can make other folks and businesses co-hosts of the event on Facebook so that it shows up and they can share it with their audience directly. You can also continue a discussion on a regular basis before, during, and after the event. I would also highly recommend doing a few Facebook Lives right in the event on Facebook so that folks are seeing it and giving them updates about what's going on, the exciting new news about the event. And I would also recommend doing some paid advertising with it. Boost the event to the target audience that you want to reach. And because the Savvy Ladies is a gala and you're raising money, you could actually have them donate or click on the link and donate money without actually even attending the event, and boost it to audiences that are interested in donating to causes. So there are lots of things to do. I would also then take it and post it. You don't even have to post it from Facebook. You can post it directly from the Savvy Ladies website with a nice little write-up and an image. Post it in your personal profile as a status update in LinkedIn, as an article in LinkedIn, so that it's on your news feed, right in your profile, showing up right below your summary. Also post it on business pages if you have a Savvy Ladies business page on LinkedIn, and in groups. Share it in groups of women or women in finance or things like that. And really get the word out there about the event exponentially by sharing it all over the place on social media and finding a tribe of people that are willing to also share it for and with you.
Okay, wonderful. I just took a lot of notes there. Thank you. Thank you for that information.
Separately with that too, Maggie.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, well, so those are the questions we had today. So I want to thank you, Joan, for an excellent presentation. Thanks for taking the time to answer our questions, and thank you to everyone for joining us. We will be sending out Joan's contact information on this slide here, and the social media information as well, if you didn't have a chance to write that down. So thank you so much, Joan.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.